All right. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Hi, my name is Kyle Rausch. I serve as the Executive Director of the Study Abroad Office here at UIC, and I'm really thrilled that we've got several of you here to talk about what has quickly become one of my most favorite projects I get to work on, and that is the FirstGen Flames Abroad Scholarship. So we're gonna dive deep into this so you understand what the scholarship is for, how you can use it, and most importantly, how you can be successful in applying for it. Right now, I am the only one on the call. Hopefully my colleague Marley will be popping on a little bit later. So that being said, I'll try my best to monitor the chat. As we go along, feel free to put questions there. And as I'm able to stop and take a look, I'll try my best to answer those. But we will also have plenty of time to talk about any of your questions at the end of the presentation. A little bit more about myself. So the first time I studied abroad was actually in high school, where as a junior, my French club took a short trip to France over the summer of my junior year, and we stayed on a small island off the west coast of France called Noirmoutier. And to say that changed my life, of course, would be a vast understatement. But I quickly decided I wanted to become a French major when I went to college. And so once I got to college, I ended up studying abroad 3 times. And I'm a first generation college student. My family did not have the financial means to support me. So I'm here to tell you that it can be done. You can earn these scholarships to help you because it happened for me. While in college, I studied twice on 2 summer programs in Paris to work on my French. And then my junior year, I did an internship at the British Parliament in London. And so those were really formative experiences in helping me round out my college career, but also in helping me become competitive for the job market upon graduation. So there's a lot of really great byproducts and benefits that can come from studying abroad. And again, I'm just thrilled that you all are here to learn about possibly making this happen while you're at UIC. So with that, we're gonna get started with our presentation. So today we're going to be having this overview where I'll provide a background about the scholarship, give you some details about the funding and who's eligible. We'll talk a little bit about the application process, and I'll give you some tips on the essays that you're going to have to complete as part of the application. And then for the second half of the presentation, we'll move and talk about the study abroad opportunities you have available to you with this scholarship. And then in addition, we'll talk about other funding resources apart from this scholarship, and then next steps. And as I mentioned, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. All right, so I always like to start off with a little bit of background about why UIC has developed this scholarship. So you might not be familiar with this, but actually the number of US students who study abroad is actually quite small in the United States. Only 1 out of 10 US undergraduates actually study abroad. And then on the right, when you look at the makeup of those students who do study abroad, as you can see, there are several underrepresented groups, especially as we look at the racial and ethnic breakdown. And of course, at UIC, we know that we're lucky to have a very diverse student body. And so a lot of what my team is hoping to do in the Study Abroad office is change the face of who's studying abroad. We want to increase access for any student who wants to study abroad to make sure that you have that opportunity. And this scholarship actually came out of some research I did when I was at my last school, which was Arizona State University, for my doctoral program. And since I was a first generation college student, I was really interested with understanding what challenges first generation students face when they think about studying abroad and the concerns they have, and how we can do a better job of supporting these students. And so through my research, we learned of 4 concerns that first generation students sometimes have, and you see those here. So one is, if you haven't had anyone else in your family go to college and study abroad, you just might not be aware of the opportunities that exist or even the benefits that can come from studying abroad. So that's the first area. The next is sometimes students have a concern that studying abroad might delay their graduation. Of course, I know no one wants to delay their graduation. Well, I'm here to tell you that thankfully we have many programs that are available for most majors, and so you can find a program that won't delay your graduation. The next concern that sometimes come up is about getting support and understanding from your family. As a first gen student, and this was the case for me, it was really important that I talked to my parents and got their buy-in. So a lot of what we're hoping to do with this program too is supporting students and how they can communicate about their decision to study abroad with their loved ones. And then lastly, is making sure that FirstGen students have the support and encouragement from trusted peers and mentors. And I think the fact that this scholarship actually is being designed with support from the Chancellor's office, the very highest office at the university, shows that UIC does want you all to have this opportunity. An interesting part of my research came about because I was working with a cohort of FirstGen students who received this scholarship at ASU. And they actually came up with a theory they called the theory of first generation strength. So although there certainly are some challenges that we as FirstGen students might encounter when we want to study abroad, these students actually hypothesize that first generation students bring a lot of strengths to study abroad because of some of the adversities they've had to overcome. And so you see here, I bolded some statements, but the students I worked with realized that they brought certain strengths to the experience that they believed to be unique to first generation college students. And that while they might not always know the questions to ask or nor the solutions to problems that would occur abroad, they knew that they would be able to depend on themselves to work through most situations. And just to further bring this point home, I have a quote from one of the great students I got to work with who earned the scholarship, Cody. So Cody grew up in a suburb of Phoenix, Arizona called Mesa, and he had never even been to the Grand Canyon. And I remember when he got the scholarship, we were talking early on about where he thought he might like to go. And he said, Kyle, I want to do an internship program in Beijing, China. And I just was so excited that he was ready to challenge himself by going somewhere so, culturally different from anything he had ever experienced. And not only that, wanting to add an internship. And after he got back, we had a great discussion. And you see here, this quote kind of solidifies what I was just talking about this idea of first generation college student strength. And he says, we actually had an advantage going into studying abroad because we're used to self-reliance and being able to adapt to situations that call for like a judgment call. So I hope some of this is starting to resonate with you, that if you all as first generation students have done great work to get yourself to this point of pursuing college at UIC, and that you now feel confident to go out and pursue a study abroad experience because you have everything you need to be successful, and the scholarship will be one additional resource to help you with that. Excuse me one moment while I admit some other students who are trying to get in. There we go. All right, so with that background in mind, then I am really pleased that we are able to offer the Chancellor's FirstGen Flames Abroad Scholarship. So this scholarship was created last year thanks to generous funding from the Chancellor's office, and it's designed to award students who are currently in their first year at UIC and who are the first in their families to go to college with a scholarship to study abroad. So again, you must be currently a first-year student, whether a freshman or a first-year transfer student, and you must be the first in your family to go to college. The unique thing about the study abroad scholarship is that it's what we call a planning scholarship, meaning if you apply this semester, you'll find out at the end of the semester if you get the scholarship, and you have the rest of your time at UIC to use it. Now, this is huge because for a lot of other study abroad scholarships, you would apply for them, then you would apply for your study abroad program. You might have to make some deposits for your program before you even find out if you have the scholarship. And then sometimes students don't get the scholarship and they only find that out last minute when they've already committed to the program. So this changes that whole scenario and gives you a dedicated scholarship that you have. That way you can take your time to identify a program of interest, okay? Another cool aspect of the scholarship is that we're not just giving you money. You then get invited to participate as a cohort with the other scholarship recipients in a series of workshops that we've designed specifically for you all as FirstGen students to help prepare you for your study abroad experience. And so some of these workshops, we're talking about how you go about looking for a program, what to think about as you pick your program. We do a workshop all about other funding opportunities because once you get this scholarship, you become really competitive for some other great funding opportunities. We talk about things such as homesickness and culture shock, all again with the aim to make sure you feel as prepared as you can be for when you study abroad. And then at the bottom part of the screen, you see that the award amounts actually depend upon the length of program you would choose. So we have funding to award 10 students with a scholarship, and students who choose to go on a program that's 3 weeks or less will be receiving $1,600. Students who choose to go in a program between 3 and 6 weeks would receive $2,100. And then students who choose to do a semester program or longer would get $2,600. So I hope that's encouraging and gets you on the right footing to then look at other funding opportunities to afford the whole experience. But again, I think it's really exciting that you could know you have a dedicated scholarship that you earn to help you as you continue planning. So who can apply for this scholarship? So again, preference is given to first-generation college students with demonstrated financial need. You must be a degree-seeking undergraduate UIC student in your first or second semester at UIC. You have to complete 12 UIC credits by the end of this semester. And then you have to either have a FAFSA on file, or if you can't do the FAFSA, the alternative application for Illinois financial aid. Of course, we need you to be in good academic standing and have no outstanding sanctions with the university. And then this last point, we're going to talk a little bit more about later on in the presentation, but the scholarship is only applicable to what we call our faculty directed or our exchange programs. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about this a little bit later on. Okay, so how do you apply for the scholarship? So the scholarship application can be found in SNAP, which if you're not familiar is UIC's central database where all scholarship opportunities are listed. We have a link to it on our website, or if you Google UIC SNAP, you can find it and it will come up. And you see here, it's called the UIC Study Abroad FirstGen Flames Abroad Scholarship. The application is pretty straightforward. It's going to ask you some questions about how you currently pay for school and an overview of your financial situation. Then we ask for you to provide some information about your activities, jobs, volunteering, honors awards, anything like that that you want to share with us. And then the main part of the application are 2 short essay questions, or if you're more creative, we also invite students to create a video, whatever you prefer. And we're going to take a look next at what those questions are actually asking. Now, the deadline to apply, you still have plenty of time. It's not till April 1st. So all of you on this call who are eligible, I think should submit an application because you've got plenty of time to get them in. So just make sure you note in your calendars, April 1st is the deadline. All right, so let's unpack the 2 essay questions that are a part of the application and give you some tips on those. So let's read the first one first. So, in what ways do you anticipate this program will challenge you? As a first-generation college student, what strengths do you have that have helped you achieve your goals so far? How do you envision these strengths might help you be successful while studying abroad? And please be specific in addressing any challenges you have overcome and the skills you've used to do so. So as I had started the presentation out, we know that all of you as first-gen students bring strengths and have overcome challenges. And so that's all this first essay is wanting you to talk about. And so here are some tips I have for this. Sometimes it can feel a little funny maybe to talk about challenges that we've had or obstacles we've had to overcome. But I find there usually is always a way to take an adversity and to spin it into a positive attribute, right? So whether that's you've had to, your family doesn't have the financial means to support your study abroad, maybe you have had to take on a couple of jobs to be able to pay your way through college. I think that shows great tenacity, initiative, and shows that you're willing to do what it takes to go after your dream, right? So that's just one quick example of how you can take a challenge and show the work and the strengths you have to overcome it. You also want to call attention to what makes you and your story unique. And this goes for this scholarship or any other scholarship that you're applying for. You want to put yourself in the minds of those people who are reading the scholarship apps. Oftentimes we're reading dozens and dozens of applications. So you want to really think about what is unique about me and my story and write that into your essay. Another thing that's great is focusing on what we call transferable skills. So all this means is, sometimes skills we're developing from overcoming one situation can often be helpful in others. And as you see in this first question, that's exactly what we're getting at. So you want to think about what are some of the challenges I might encounter when I go abroad? And what are the associated skills that I've developed in other situations in my life that will be helpful? And just to use a quick example here, one example might be navigating a new foreign environment on your own, right? Well, chances are if you have come to college and you're not familiar with UIC, and you have no one else in your family who's gone to college, you had to navigate this whole foreign environment, right, of UIC on your own. And so some of the skills there might be your time management skills, your organizational skills, attention to detail. These are all things that are going to serve you well in a study abroad experience. And then my overall advice too is using a method called the STAR method. And what this means is it will help you avoid generic statements. You know, a lot of times from students, I see them write things like, I'm detail oriented or I'm hardworking, which is fine, but it doesn't really demonstrate how you are. And so if you use the STAR method, it can help you pull out those things. So STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So in this case, you would think about, okay, I want to say I'm detail oriented. What's an example of maybe a previous job I've worked at, or maybe a group project I worked in that demonstrates how I've been detail oriented? And then you would just describe that by describing the situation, what your task was, how you acted, and what the result was. So I hope that framework helps as you start writing your drafts to think about how you can, again, be more specific with your responses. Okay, the second question asks, why do you think study abroad will be beneficial for your personal, professional, and academic goals? How do you envision your study abroad program contributing to your academic program at UIC and your anticipated career afterward? So for this essay, if I were you, I would just, have a nice intro paragraph and then a paragraph talking about each one of these three aspects. How is study abroad going to help me personally, professionally, and academically? So to do this, excuse me, you want to discuss what you're currently studying and why. Why did you pick your major? Why are you so passionate about it? And what do you hope to do after you graduate? Then you could get on our website and do some preliminary research on the kinds of programs we have. And if you can find a program that you're interested in, then you have a much more compelling case to say why this program could help you in whatever it is you want to do in your studies and future career. So as an example, I'll just highlight one potential program. So we have our social services internships in Paris program. And so if I was a student maybe majoring in psychology or the social services sector, I might be interested in this program because I want to be a future social work caseworker. And so having the experience to travel to Paris and learn about their social work practices in another country would make me a much better candidate for a future job here because I will understand diverse perspectives, right? So again, I'm just kind of thinking these examples on the fly. Once you have more time to brainstorm, you'll come up with much better examples. But the key here is to link why study abroad will be beneficial to your future career and studies, okay? Again, make sure you're being specific. You want to avoid saying things. I see this one a lot. I've always wanted to travel and see new places. Well, most people will say that, right? Or I love interacting with people from other cultures and it will give you new insights. All of these things are true, but we need you to take it just a step further and say specifically for you how it's going to help you with your future goals. Okay, I can also send these slides after the fact to you. That way you can kind of take some more time to review these, but I hope it's starting to get your mind thinking about how you can approach these essays or your video response. All right, moving along. So I had mentioned that this scholarship can be used on what we call faculty directed or exchange programs. So I just want to give a short overview of what each of these are. So with faculty directed programs, these are short-term programs led by UIC professors, and you would be traveling with a cohort of UIC students. Most of these programs are currently offered in the summer, although we are growing the number of programs that we offer over spring break as well. So they happen at, I think, times that are especially great for majors that maybe are difficult to get abroad. I know, for instance, a lot of the engineering majors, you don't have a lot of time during the fall or spring. So sometimes a summer or a short spring break program are easier to fit in your schedule. On all of these programs, you earn UIC credit. So it's very easy to understand what class you'll be taking because again, it's a UIC faculty member offering a UIC course. And then in terms of where some of these programs go, this year we have programs traveling to Brazil, Denmark, Ecuador, France, India, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Mexico, the Netherlands, South Korea, Spain, St. Kitts and Nevis, Puerto Rico, and the UK. But every year we have new faculty propose new programs, so it will just depend from year to year what programs that we offer. I don't know about you, but a lot of these destinations sound enticing, so hopefully some of them are catching your eye. I also think faculty-directed programs can be a great fit for students who haven't done a lot of international travel on their own, or who maybe have some apprehensions about going abroad, because again, you'll have a faculty member with you, a whole cohort of UIC students, and everything is pre-planned. You pretty much show up, you get picked up at the airport, your housing's arranged, activities and field trips are built in, so everything's organized for you. Okay, the other kind of program that you can use a scholarship for is what we call exchange programs. Now, exchange programs are long-term programs, so you would be abroad for a whole semester or could even go for a full academic year. And I like to say these are really great for students who want a very immersive experience and who are comfortable being a little bit more independent. And why do I say that? Because on an exchange program, we partner with universities around the world, and you would go study at their university for a semester or year. And you probably would be one of the only UIC students there, and you would be an international student at that school for the semester or year that you're there. Now, you still would have support, just like there's an international office at UIC who helps international students at our school. There would be people on that end to help you, but you probably would need to know the foreign language a little bit if you're going somewhere that doesn't speak English, because you would be taking classes, right, with students in that language. Although more and more of our partners are beginning to offer some coursework in English. On an exchange program, it's important to know, and this could be really helpful for some of you, that you pay the exact same UIC tuition and fees you pay to study here. So whatever you're paying to study at UIC is what you pay to go on an exchange program. So for some students, that ends up working very favorably because of their financial aid package can apply. Now, you do have to budget, of course, for your living expenses while you're abroad. So you'll have housing, you need food, and of course, you're going to want to travel and do fun things. And so we help work with you on preparing a budget for what those expenses will be. Now, on an exchange program, this can also be a great program for students who kind of have more rigid majors, because you pretty much have the whole course catalog at the foreign university to choose classes from. So whereas, remember, on a faculty-directed program, we're offering usually 1 or 2 UIC courses, on an exchange program, you're going to get to pick from a very robust catalog of courses offered at that university. And then some examples of countries where we have exchange programs are Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, Greece, Ireland, Japan, Mexico, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, Taiwan, and the UK. Great, so I hope that overview was helpful. Although we were primarily here today to talk about the Chancellor's FirstGen Flames Abroad Scholarship, I really want to make sure you all know that we have other funding opportunities. So if you apply for this and you don't get it, don't give up, because we have a lot of other opportunities. So our office does have some other scholarships that we monitor and we can support you in applying for, and those are listed on our website. And then there are some departments on campus too that have their own study abroad scholarships. For instance, if you're a student in the Honors College, they have a really great scholarship available to you. I know that the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences has some study abroad scholarships, so it's always a good idea to ask your advisor if they know of any funding. And then we haven't talked about partnership programs today because the scholarship is not applicable to this, but we do have a third type of study abroad program called partnership programs. And this is where we work with companies like ISA, CIEE. They're basically study abroad organizations, and you can go study with them. And several of our partners have their own scholarships that you could apply for. So if you're not interested in one of our faculty directed or exchange programs, there are many, many more partnership programs, and they have their own funding resources we could connect you to. And then beyond that, we start talking about national scholarships for study abroad. And perhaps the most important one for UIC students that I want all of you here today to look into is called the Gilman International Scholarship. If you receive a Pell Grant, please come talk to me about applying for this scholarship, because it is for up to $5,000 to study abroad and $8,000 if you study what's called a critical language. And I can talk more about that if you're interested. But basically, Gilman is for students who receive a Pell Grant, and they favor diversity in many forms. So yes, when we talk about study abroad, we think of diversity in terms of race and ethnicity, but we also think about a lot of other categories. So men are considered diverse in study abroad. Certain majors are considered diverse, such as the STEM fields. So if you're majoring in science, technology, engineering, math, education is one that's not represented very well in study abroad. That counts in your favor. But then too, diversity in terms of location. So I'm curious, let's just play a quick quiz game. What region of the world do you think is most popular in study abroad? Let's see what some guesses you guys have are. All right, you guys are smart. Yes, Europe, and specifically Western Europe, is the #1 region where students want to go. So if you're interested, and I saw in the chat, Japan, South Korea, if you're interested in other regions, that's going to make you even more competitive for Gilman. Now, if you want to go to Europe, and remember, I studied in Paris and London, so I was right there with you. It doesn't mean you can't apply. It just means that so many students want to go to Europe, so it's going to be a little bit more competitive. But again, as long as you're choosing a program that matches what you're studying, excuse me, and what you want to do for your career, you can still make a strong case for Gilman about why you want to go to Europe, okay? So the good news is we have a few staff on my team who are familiar with what Gilman is looking for in their scholarship application, and we can coach you and help you on that. So again, if you receive a Pell Grant, you should absolutely come talk to us about the Gilman. And then you see here, we also have the Gilman McCain Scholarship, and this would be for students who are the child of a current active duty military service professional. So again, if that applies to you, we would also be happy to work with you on that. And then beyond scholarships, you can also use your federal financial aid. So if you have a FAFSA on file and you currently get grants or loans, then you can also use some of those funds to help study abroad. And as you see at the top of this slide, we ran the math, and UIC students actually earned over $1 million in scholarships and grants in a single academic year to study abroad. So I share that with you because I remember being in your space. I knew I wanted to study abroad. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to get this money. Why even bother? But a lot of times this money does go unawarded because people like you are thinking that they can't get it or they just don't apply for it. But there is a lot of emphasis right now on trying to diversify who studies abroad. So I think all of you being FirstGen students can easily get a lot of this funding with our help. So please don't let money be the reason you don't look into studying abroad. All right, well, hopefully I've piqued your interest. So if so, here's just a quick outline of what your next steps would be. So first would be to apply for the FirstGen Flame Scholarship via SNAP by April 1st. Next, a good way to kind of start learning about what your opportunities to study abroad are would be to attend our first step presentation. This is a required presentation we ask all students to view before they start the application process to study abroad because it gives you a lot of good basic information, and that's available on our website. Then another good rule of thumb is you should absolutely be talking with your academic advisor and just mention, hey, I'm looking into study abroad, I'm thinking about it, because there are two things they can tell you which will be helpful to us to help you find the best program. And so those two questions you want to ask them are, when is the best time for my major to go abroad? Because they might say a summer would be good, or maybe the fall semester of your junior year. So you just want to find out what the recommended time is. And the other thing you want to ask is, are there classes I should be looking to take abroad, right? So each major oftentimes has required courses. So once we know what classes you need to take abroad, then my advisors can help you find the right program. And then the fun part is you get to get on our website and you can play with our program search. We have over 200 programs available around the world, and you can start exploring where in the world you want to go. And then once you've narrowed down the program or programs you're interested in, you can then make an appointment with our advisors via iAdvise, or just email our general inbox and get connected with the advisor for the program you're interested in. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information. We have plenty of time to talk about anything else you're curious about study abroad or questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I invite you to put in the chat or unmute yourself any questions you have.
I have a quick question, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I already clicked on the link to look for the programs, and I pressed the exchange. It took me to advanced search. I know there's more options, so I just put criminology, and it said there was no results.
Okay, yeah, let me tour our advanced search because it can be a little intricate.
Yeah, I was looking at all of that. I'm like, I have no idea what this means.
No problem. Yeah, the first time you look at it, it's a little bit much. So let me share my screen again, and I'll take a quick tour of the website and show you all how you can use some of our tools there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so our website is just studyabroad.uic.edu, and eventually it will load. Perfect. And if you scroll down, we have explore programs right here. And then I'm going to click on search for study abroad programs, and that will take you to the advanced search that you were just mentioning. Now, in the example you gave, you were wanting to find, I think, programs for criminology. So rather than typing criminology in here, what you would want to do is come down here and look for academic areas. And then hopefully we have criminology in here. Let's see, yep. And you can click criminology, and then you can click search. And you see we do have a short list of programs that might be a good fit for criminology, okay? I'm just gonna go back. This field would be if you already know the exact name of the program you're interested in, you could type it. Now, for most of you, I imagine you're just getting started at researching, you probably won't know. So the best thing to do is to use these fields to identify the programs of interest. So let's say I met with my advisor and they said, all right, Kyle, we're gonna recommend summer for you. And let's say I've always been interested in France because, well, I was a French major. So I want to see all the summer programs in France. Oops, that's because I still had my criminology in there. So let me go back and remove that one because I'm like, I know we have summer programs in France. All right, we will do any, there we go. Okay, cool. So now we see our summer programs that we have in France. All right, does that help? Does that make sense?
That was beyond perfect. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We do have on the left-hand side, you see here, like if you want to see all of our current faculty-directed programs, you can click that. And here's a nice little list of the ones we're offering this year. And then hopefully, same thing with exchange. Yep, here's our exchange programs. Now, I will say this website, this database is brand new to us. We just launched it last semester. We have so many programs, so we're having to build individual program pages for all of our programs. So most of them should be in here by now, but there are a few that aren't. So if you get on here and you're not finding a program that seems like a good fit for you, don't get discouraged. It might just be because we haven't gotten to creating that page yet. The best thing to do in those cases is to reach out to us via that general email. Let us know, what you're interested in, and then we can organize a meeting with you and help you find a program. Great question. What else do we got?
I'm gonna ask another one. So
Sure, yeah.
for the advisor, would you do we have to double check in with our general and major, or would you say just major?
I'm
I'm a
big fan
junior,
of,
by the way. Yeah.
okay, yeah, great. And in your case, you definitely, it's because time is limited, want to make sure you know. So I would recommend both because they're both going to have valuable information for you. Your major probably will be more important, but I still think it's good to let both know what you're hoping to do.
Okay.
All right, what else? Maybe by show of virtual hands or emojis, who's going to go after the scholarship? Who's going to apply? I see a heart, excellent, thumbs up. Yes, that's what I wanted to see. All right.
I have a question.
Sure, Melissa.
I would like to apply for a program that's in summer, but that
Okay.
will technically not be my first year anymore. Can I still apply to the scholarship? As
So
long as
would
I'm
you-
in my first year?
Yes. So would you like to apply for a program this summer? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay, that will be interesting timing because we hope to pick the scholars at the very end of spring semester. So in your case, the summer programs often have financial deadlines that are a little earlier. If you happen to get the scholarship though, I think we could still work with you on, it would probably be more of a repayment to you, if that makes sense. So if you get the scholarship and you already had to pay
Got it.
deposit, then you could at least have those funds come back to you. Does that make sense?
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. But it would still apply.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
No problem. Good questions. What else? I just want to scroll through and see where you all said you wanted to go. Some more South Korea, a couple Spains. Awesome. We've got programs in both of those countries, somewhere in Latin America. Very good.
I do have a quick question, specifically about the Pell Grant like scholarship. That's
Yep.
also like through SNAP, right? We can find all of these through SNAP.
Good question. So Gilman for Pell Grant students is actually a national scholarship. So UIC doesn't administer that. So you won't find that particular one in SNAP. That one is on our website though. So let me just pop back to our website and show you where you can go for that. Let's go back to our homepage. So we have a really great section called Find Funding that I definitely recommend all of you take a look at. And then scholarships right here. And then all of our scholarships are in these different buckets. And so you see right here, here's a link for the FirstGen Flames. Gilman's going to be what we call a national scholarship. And here is where you'll find the Gilman. Now, if you are thinking of studying abroad this summer or fall or spring, there is a deadline for Gilman coming up on March 1st. So if you think you might want to be going out sometime within the next couple terms, you'll probably want to get that in sooner rather than later.
That's my deadline anyways.
Okay.
For study abroad for next semester. So
Perfect. Great. Myself and my colleague Marley, actually, who is just joining us, advise for Gilman. So feel free to reach out to either one of us. And I would love for Marley to say a few quick words. There she is. Hey, Marley, can you hear us?
Hi.
All right, we just wrapped up. We're taking questions, and I just was talking about Gilman and how you and I both advise for it. And Marley will actually be serving as the mentor for cohort 2 of the FirstGen Flames Abroad Scholars. So I'd love to just invite her to say a few quick words about who she is, what she advises for, and anything else she wants to share.
Hi, well, it's great to see that there's so many participants joining in this info session. I advise currently for a portfolio of programs in parts of Latin America, or all of Latin America and parts of Europe, everything basically besides the London, UK, Dublin, Ireland, and France. And then I also am the college liaison to the College of Business, the Honors College, and then Earth and Environmental Sciences and the Natural Sciences within LAS. I take the lead on a lot of our scholarship review and workshops. And so I'm excited to transition to working with all of you, not just in applying and receiving the scholarship, but afterwards in preparing you to study abroad and how the scholarship can make your opportunities a possibility. So I'm very honored to be able to serve as the mentor for the next cohort.
Thanks, Marley. All right, any other questions? Okay, well, I will be sending out a copy of the slides. That way you can reference those as you work on your application. Both Marley and I are happy to advise for this scholarship or any others that you find on our website. So don't hesitate to reach out. In a second, I'll go ahead and put our emails in the chat for you. Other than that, the Study Abroad office is located in University Hall on the 5th floor. So you're welcome to stop by. We are back in person. But we also take virtual advising appointments as well. So you can find us in iAdvise. And with that, thank you so much for being here today. Good luck as you work on your applications. And I look forward to reviewing those a little bit later this semester.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Everyone have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend.
Enjoy your weekends.
Thanks. You all too. Bye.
Bye.
bye. Sorry, I was
problem.
emailing.
See you, Ryan. All right.
Just in the nick of time.